Welcome. This is a product overview of ComplianceForge's ISO 27001 and 27002 version of the Cybersecurity and Data Protection Program, which we call the CDPP. Over the next few minutes, we will walk through what it is, who it is for, what is included, and how it compares to writing this documentation yourself. Editable cybersecurity documentation focused on ISO 27001 and 27002 alignment. Compliance-focused policies and standards that come with a wealth of free resources. An affordable solution designed to be efficient, scalable, and business-friendly. And a one-time purchase, no subscription, and no software to install. Pursuing ISO 27001 certification, or need to prove ISO 27002 alignment to a customer. With what you have right now, could you produce the policies and standards an auditor expects? Or are they incomplete, outdated, or scattered across your team? For most teams, building ISO-aligned documentation from scratch takes hundreds of hours of senior staff time. The CDPP gives you a running start. It is structured to the ISO 27002 taxonomy, covering both the 2013 and 2022 versions, and it is built on the Secure Controls Framework, also known as the SCF, so it also maps to over 100 other laws, regulations, and frameworks. The templates get you roughly 80 to 90% of the way there. The CDPP contains editable policies, control objectives, standards, and guidelines. So what exactly is the ISO 27002 version of the CDPP? As a visual, here is where ISO 27001 and 27002 sit on the spectrum of cybersecurity frameworks, from minimal to robust coverage, alongside frameworks like NIST CSF and NIST 853. Some quick context on how the two standards fit together. ISO 27001 lays out the framework to create an information security management system, or ISMS ISO 27002 contains the actual best practices details of what goes into building that program. Essentially, you cannot meet ISO 27001 without implementing ISO 27002. Because ISO's Information Security Framework has been around since the mid-1990s, it evolved into the de facto IT security framework outside of the United States. You will find it extensively used by multinational corporations and by companies that do not have to specifically comply with U.S. federal regulations. It is also less paranoid than NIST 853, which makes it less complex and therefore easier to implement. The CDPP is organized into approximately 14 domains, each with a parent policy supported by detailed standards. The naming convention deliberately follows ISO 27001 and 27002, so a control reference in your documentation lines up directly with the source framework. And it contains mappings and coverage for both the 2013 and 2022 versions. Who is it for? ISO 27001 and 27002 can be used for general business, retail, healthcare, and insurance. It should not be used for defense contractors. This product is intended for medium and large organizations, government agencies, and any organization whose primary driver is alignment with ISO 27001 and 27002. If you need to address multiple frameworks simultaneously, consider the SCRP, the Security, Compliance, and Resilience Program, instead, which covers 200+ frameworks. The CDPP is a one-time purchase of editable Microsoft Office documentation templates. There is no software to install, no agent to deploy, no account to provision, and no cloud environment to configure. It is delivered as fully editable Word and Excel files, compatible with Word 2016 and newer, Microsoft 365, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, and Google Docs and Sheets. Documentation is delivered via email download link within 1 to 2 business days of purchase. There is no installer, no license server, and no activation step. A single entity license is included with purchase. There is no recurring subscription requirement, although an optional update subscription is available. This deployment model is intentional. Cybersecurity documentation benefits from being in the organization's own hands, inside your own version control and document management systems, rather than locked inside a vendor's SaaS tool. Once delivered, this product belongs to you. There are 4 documentation challenges that most organizations face. The first is a lack of in-house security experience. Writing security documentation is a skill that many good cybersecurity professionals simply are not proficient at, and tasking your analysts and engineers to write it means taking them away from protecting and defending your network. The second is compliance with ISO 27002. Nearly every organization is required to have formally documented security policies and standards, with requirements ranging from PCI DSS to HIPAA to the EU GDPR. The third is audit failures. Security documentation does not age gracefully like a fine wine, and outdated documentation leads to gaps that expose organizations to audit failures and system compromises. And the fourth is vendor and customer requirements. It is very common for clients and partners to request evidence of a security program, and that includes policies and standards. The CDPP delivers 4 outcomes. The first is clear documentation. You receive comprehensive documentation to prove that your security program exists, saving hundreds of hours and tens of thousands of dollars in staff and consultant expenses. The second is time savings. The CDPP is a semi-customized solution that requires minimal resources to fine-tune for your organization's specific needs. The third is alignment with leading practices. The ISO-based CDPP is written to align your organization with ISO 27001 and 27002. And the fourth is an audit-defensible format. Documentation is written to withstand scrutiny by external assessors and ISO auditors, with footnotes providing authoritative source references throughout. So what do you actually receive? Here is a look at the content of the ISO 27002 version of the CDPP, the editable Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel documentation that is delivered to you. Purchase includes a single entity license, the first year of product updates, and 4 content components. The Microsoft Word version, a cover page and executive summary template, policy sections aligned to the ISO 27001 and 27002 structure, supporting standards for each policy domain, guidelines, parameters and recommended defaults, and footnoted references to the source controls. The Microsoft Excel version, a control catalog with mappings, providing crosswalk mapping from ISO 27001 and 27002 to the CDPP's policies and standards, as well as other common laws, regulations, and frameworks. ISO integration content. Direct mapping to the current version, a cross-reference matrix to other major frameworks, assessment-ready language and structure, and evidence requirements identified per control. And optionally, it pairs with the ISO 27002 version of the CSOP for step-by-step procedures that map one-to-one to the CDPP's standards. The companion cybersecurity standardized operating procedures is sold separately and is frequently bundled. Now compare that against the 2 alternatives for obtaining quality cybersecurity documentation. For your internal staff to generate comparable documentation, it would take them an estimated 400 internal staff work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $38,000 in staff-related expenses. That is about 4 to 8 months of development time. If you hire a consultant, it would take an estimated 300 consultant work hours, which equates to a cost of approximately $95,500. That is about 3 to 6 months of development time. The ISO 27002 version of the CDPP is approximately 5% of the cost for your internal staff and approximately 2% of the cost for an external consultant to generate equivalent documentation. The CDPP itself is $1,980. PDF examples of both the policies and standards document and the crosswalk mapping are available on the product page, so you can see the quality and structure before you buy. So how much work is left for you? ComplianceForge aims for approximately a 90% solution because it is impossible to write a 100% cookie-cutter document that can be equally applied across every organization. In practice, customization is essentially filling in the blanks, adding your company name and logo, which ComplianceForge applies for you before delivery. Tailoring parameters, such as review cadences and thresholds. Naming specific owner roles. And removing sections that do not apply to your organization. If you want a hand, ComplianceForge offers optional professional services. They are not required to customize ComplianceForge documentation. The 5-hour bundle may be beneficial for companies that need some guidance on getting started. The 10-hour bundle is for companies that need additional guidance on tailoring their documentation to meet their compliance requirements. and the 20-hour bundle is for companies that need robust services beyond just 10 hours. Purchased professional service hours expire 120 days, or 4 months, from the time of purchase if unused. Hours are intended to supplement, not replace, your own customization work. Unlike some of our competition that sell bronze, silver, and gold levels of documentation, we understand that a standard is a standard for a reason. We remove the guesswork associated with picking an appropriate package level. Saving a few dollars on a cheap solution can easily leave you with a false sense of security and gaping holes in your documentation that can leave you liable. If your primary or sole framework is ISO 27002, the ISO version of the CDPP provides the most direct fit with the lowest customization burden. If your organization needs to address multiple frameworks at once, the SCRP is the recommended alternative. One more reason to buy. As this pyramid shows, policies, standards, and procedures build on each other. The CDPP covers the policies and standards, while the companion CSOP covers the procedures. The CDPP answers the what and the why questions for ISO 27002 compliance through policies and standards. The matching ISO version of the CSOP answers the how question, with step-by-step procedures that map one-to-one to the CDPP's standards. Buying both as a bundle is the most common configuration for organizations that want a complete documentation set, and procedures are not optional from an audit standpoint. Auditors need to verify that standards are actually implemented in operational practice, and procedures are the documented evidence of that implementation. For CISOs, the CDPP includes metrics that are designed for executive reporting. CISOs need to communicate program health in language that executives understand, and these metrics are structured to roll up from individual control performance to executive-level dashboards. The metrics are mapped to common reporting cadences such as monthly, quarterly, and annual. And each one identifies suggested owners, target thresholds, and escalation criteria. This is particularly important for organizations subject to ISO 27002 oversight, where leadership accountability is increasingly explicit. If you have any questions, please email support@ComplianceForge.com or call 1-307-241-8740. We've been helping organizations since 2005, and we are always happy to help.